Salamun alaikum. So let's start critiquing the science of hadith from a Quranic perspective. So what I want to start with today is the idea of naming things. So in the Quran, this is very important. For example, in Surah to Yusuf, Yusuf says to his two companions in the prison, he says, ما تعبدون من دونه إلا أسماء سميتموها. He said, you do not worship besides him anything except names that you have named. Right? Now, why I wanted to bring this verse, and I think this verse is very beautiful, is because it references ta'budun, the idea of worshiping. And the idea of worshiping doesn't just have to be worshiping an idol. It could be what you're devoted to. So, ma ta'buduna min dunihi, you're not devoted to something besides him, illa asma'an sammaytumuha, except names that you have named. So the names that you have named, they may not have any reality behind them, and they may be the incorrect names based on a Quranic perspective. And you might think like, well, what's the problem with that? As human beings, we name something. True. But if we are students of the Quran, because I'm not against naming things, right? But if we are students of the Quran and we know the importance of the Quranic vocabulary, then I think especially if we're trying to develop an Islamic science, we shouldn't give names to things that are so blatantly against the Quranic naming system. And let me give you an example what I mean. So, for example, the highest level of hadith, the highest category classification is sahih, they say, which means authentic, genuine, etc. And the one below that is hasan, which some people translate as good, but the word hasan actually means beautiful. So the highest level is sahih, the second level is hasan. Now, if you think about this as a student of the Quran, this is very interesting because the word sahih, or any of its derivatives like sahha, right? The verb sahha, right? And we hear many brothers who want to sound Arabic when they talk. Sah, they say sah when you're talking to them. I don't have anything wrong with you or anything against using Arabic, but I do, obviously I love Arabic. I use it all the time. But it's the presentation of yourself like as an Arab, if that makes sense. That's at least how I perceive it. But anyway, this word sahih or any of its derivatives is not found in the Quran. But the word hasan is actually found in the Quran. And the word hasan is used as like one of the most highest levels, right? One of the highest levels of like categorization. For example, when Mary, when Allah spoke about her, what did he say? He said when she was born, فَتَقَبَّلَهَا رَبُّهَا بِقَبُولٍ حَسَنٍ. So her Lord accepted her with hasan acceptance. Is that a lesser level? So would another person be accepted with sahih acceptance? No. بِقَبُولٍ حَسَنٍ. With beautiful acceptance. Like you can get no higher praise than that. So I, for the life of me, can't figure out, and I don't even care. But I mean, I care, but it's just weird to me, is what I'm trying to say. Why, in developing this science, you would name the lower thing hasan, which is one of the most beautiful words in the Quran, and the higher thing sahih, which doesn't exist in the Quran, and we all agree about this book. All of us that are Muslims agree about this book. لا يأتيه الباطل من بين يديه ولا من خلفه. There does not come to this book any falsehood from before it or from after it. So no falsehood coming to this book includes the words, the vocabulary of the book. Kalimatuhu, right? So if we agree on that no falsehood comes to it, doesn't it make more sense to pick a word that we agree no falsehood comes to, rather than a word that doesn't exist in the Quran at all? And the effects that has, I'm just speaking for me personally. I was Salafi for like 25 years, and I studied the science of hadith in detail. All these different things was something we always talked about, went over. And what I realized after I left Salafiyah and I started studying the Quran more closely, I realized that the way the vocabulary, the Islamic quote-unquote vocabulary is presented in Salafiyah, it makes you actually underestimate or look down on the Quranic vocabulary. Not consciously. I never consciously sat there and said, oh, the word hasan, it's not that not that important of a word. But I didn't feel the importance when I read the word Hasan in the Qur'an. Until I left Salafiyya and I started thinking more about it and actually went to the Qur'an and studied the word Hasan and studied the word Husn and Hasana and all the Ahsana and all these related words. And I realized this is such an important Quranic word that unfortunately we were taught to underestimate. So this is one of the first things I wanted to start talking about in this critique of the science of hadith based on the Quran, because if the way like your naming of something, right, shows like your thought process about it. A name, what is a name? A name is a way to summarize something that may have a lot of different moving parts, a lot of different components, a lot of different pieces. So it gives us an easy way to talk about something that's some like a chair, right? The name, we call it a noun, but it's a name. We name it. It's a chair. But whenever I say chair, in your head and in my head, we pretty much, there's different kinds of chairs, but the idea of what a chair is, we pretty much agree on, those of us that speak English, right? So naming is very important, and accurate naming is very important. So if we can start off with that and start to say, like, why is the naming, so completely contradictory to the Quranic naming system? Is it possible that this way of analyzing the information that came from that time from the Prophet Muhammad, does that show us that from the very foundations, it may be problematic and not Quranic, right? Because the Quran, لا يأتيه الباطل من بين يديه ولا من خلفه, no falsehood comes to it. So if this science is not Quranic and it violates Quranic principles and Quranic naming, then falsehood does come to it. Okay? That doesn't mean everything in it is wrong. And that doesn't mean we disparage the human effort that it took to develop it. And it doesn't mean there wasn't any good results in it. But what it does mean is it was a human effort. So I don't know why any of us would ever think or be surprised that we can possibly find things to critique about it. Because at the end of the day, it was a human effort. So don't turn the science of hadith into ibadah. ما تعبدون من دونه إلا أسماء سميتموها. You don't worship nothing but names that you invented. Assalamu alaikum.